I don't know if anybody can hear me, but I cannot hear you. It is muted. Jacqueline, can you hear me? You have the Highland Beach camera on mute. I can see the icon in the lower left. Now it's off, but I still can't hear anything. Please let me know. I don't have a place either for typing
We are
in.
here. We can hear you, Chairperson.
Got it. Now I can hear you. Thank you so much. But I can't hear anybody else speaking.
Okay, so going to get started. Okay, good morning and welcome to the Natural Resources Preservation Advisory Board meeting on Thursday, August 30, 2023 at 11 a.m. Kindly silence your cell phones. Thank you so much. Mrs. Stehart, could you please call the roll?
Okay. Member Davidson,
Present.
Member Villegas, Member Bloomberg, Member Schreiber,
Present.
Vice Chairperson Nessel,
Present.
Chairperson Stansfield.
Present.
Thank you.
Great. So all rise, please, for the Pledge of Allegiance.
United States of America.
Approval of the agenda. Is there a motion to approve the agenda?
Motion to approve current agenda.
Second. Great, thank you. So all in favor say yes? Yes.
Yes.
Any opposed say no? Perfect. So the agenda has been approved, which means we're coming to agenda item 5, public comments. So public comments are now open. Each speaker will be allowed 3 minutes to speak. Are there any public comments? We have the Turtle team here. Thank you so much. We have Joanne Ryan, the president of the Turtle team in Highland Beach. It's an honor to have you here. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Barbara. Does this have to be turned on? Oh, okay. I'll just get closer. Okay, thank you. Nice to see you all again. There are some new members here I have not met before. I just wanted to share with you, being nature people, that our turtle season has broken a record this year. In fact, the whole state of Florida is breaking records. We've been reporting to FWC on a monthly basis so they could trend what's going on. But I want to tell you on our 2.8 miles of beach that we have 20 volunteers that walk 7 days a week, March 1st to October 31st. We've had 3,208 turtle crawls come up to the beach. Doesn't mean they nested, but that's how many turtles have come up on Highland Beach to potentially nest. And that's almost the whole population of Highland Beach. And then out of that, we've had 988 loggerhead nests. We've had 541 green turtle nests, and we had 7 leatherbacks earlier in the season. So we've had 1,536 turtle nests on Highland Beach. And me and my team are very, very busy out there inventorying them as they hatch, letting little hatchlings go. We've literally let thousands and thousands of sea turtles go swim in the water. Some of them went to Governor Limbo if they were not real swimmers yet. And so I just wanted to share that exciting news with everyone that we've had a really banner year for the sea turtles. And it's not over yet. It's we still have September and October to go, and we're averaging 1 or 2 green turtles still coming into nest. So
Sounds
Also,
great.
I have a question. Do you see any difference in years of where along the beach that turtles are nesting, or is it similarly based on every year?
okay, so these turtles are coming into nest. This is called a natal beach for these turtles that were born here 20 to 25 years ago. Turtles come back. They use their inner GPS to come back to the beaches that they were born on. So I don't see any difference. We've had a higher year than this one. Actually, back in 2017, we had like 3,700 crawls. Highland Beach, as a rule, is a busy turtle nesting beach. For the most part, it's dark and quiet, and it's private, which is really nice. We're very blessed that we have this section to monitor, as opposed to Delray Beach or Boca, where there's a lot of public interaction. I don't really, there's not a huge difference. These are the same turtles that, with these little hatchlings that are going out in another 20 to 25 years, they will come back to this beach to nest. They're called natal beaches.
My question is more like north versus south end of the town. Do you see like differences in
Yes.
over the years that turtles are nesting at different sides of the beach because
Okay.
of maybe the lighting is better or something along those lines?
That's definitely an issue. And we're hoping to bring that back again to the commissioners. But we have certain areas that we have more disorientation. We're broken into 5 zones because we walk. We have 20 volunteers, and each zone has approximately half a mile. So from Boca Highlands Club all the way to the north border before we get to Delray, it's broken into zones. So it's funny because our zone 3 is the highest crawl count. We have almost 1,000 crawls just in that one little section. And that's from Ambassador East condos south to that big gray, it's called Spinks House. It's the Whale's Tail. That's that one section. And we've had almost 1,000. We've had, I think 600 nests just in that area. So then we have up at the north end of the beach, zone 5, that goes up to Delray. That's actually the slower section. And we do have a lot of disorientation there because of the hotel and one condo just to the north that has a lot of white light that we have to remind them to shut it off. And then zone 1, which is Boca Highlands Club, up to the Bellito access, that's our second busiest section of beach. But it's funny because when you look at the breakdowns, like zone 4 has had more loggerhead nests than zone 1. So it's funny with the numbers, how they break down. And with the record-breaking heat too, it's been a lot. So it's been a busy, exciting season. And a lot of sweat. I'm sorry. Thank you.
Can I ask this,
Sure.
is the leatherback being 7, is that normal or?
Okay, the leatherback is the largest of the species. They are very critically endangered. They're an ocean swimming turtle. Last year we had 13 nests in Highland Beach, and we were very excited. We thought maybe we'd get more this year. But up there, they're higher density up in the Juno Beach area, up into Melbourne. I'm not really sure why. And, but we average, between Ocean Ridge and Boca. I think Boca actually had a little bit more than we did this year, but every year we hope for higher counts on the leatherbacks, because they're hard. They can travel up to 10,000 miles a year. Once they're done nesting, they're off into deep waters. So the fatalities are hard to track because they do go far away. They go into international waters. They get caught up in longline fishing and stuff like that. So,
Thank you. As far as the different types of the sea turtles, do they all pretty much have similar desire for certain environmental conditions, like, let's say, even like elevation?
Okay, so that brings in a few different factors. So like when we have like these high winds and storms that are coming around, it creates a scarp on the beach. So that the higher those scarps go, the harder it is for the turtle to get up and to nest. So a lot of times they might hit a scarp on the beach and turn around and go right back out. We have had, of those 3,200 calls that I was telling you about, out of it, we had about 1,500 nests. So we had a higher count of false crawls, called a false crawl, when they come out to the beach and they don't nest and they just turn around. And that could be a variety of things, like the sand has been super hot. So maybe it was just they came up and they didn't like the temperature of the sand. Or in the areas where there's construction going on, sometimes they bring in dirt to put in for fill. So they might be digging in the dirt as opposed to the sand. They don't like that. They go out. Could be anything. Could be people walking on the beach. Somebody left a white light on, So there are a bunch of different factors that determine when and why they come up to the beach. But one thing's for certain, when they have to drop their eggs, they do need to drop their eggs, which is so important that they do have clean, flat, dark beaches, no beach furniture, so they don't turn around and drop their eggs in the water. We don't want them to do that.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Have you noticed any correlation between the warmer water temperatures and where the turtles are nesting? The water's a lot warmer than usual.
The waters are a lot warmer. There's no doubt about that. Everybody has a different opinion about global warming. I'm not going to go there. But turtles do what turtles do. Every year they mate, they come up and they nest. And given the heat that we've had this year, they came up, in large numbers. So it's hard to say. I'm not a researcher. I've talked to a researcher that does that type of thing. But I know down in Key Largo, they said the water temperature down there was like 107. It was bleaching the coral reefs down in the Keys. So, and look at the storm that hit the Gulf, that, the Gulf was 95 degrees or whatever, and it just blew up. So, but I think as far as the turtles go, they'll continue to do what they do because it's in their nature to do it.
One more question, I'm sorry. What is the effects of the other animals on the baby turtles once they hatch? Because I actually had an experience. My wife and I were checking our air conditioner on the top of our building, and there was I don't know what type of bird, but it actually had a little, in its mouth, and it dropped it when it saw us, got scared. And we picked it up. It had a little cut on the underside, the belly. We brought it down to the ocean and kind of like helped it find its way back in.
Okay.
But does that, something like that, is that a problem for the hatchling?
That's called the natural equation of predation to survival. That's, it's a very natural thing. When they get out into the water, even when they make it out to the water, they're going to get eaten by fish or whatever. So, the statistics say that 1 in 1,000 will make it to adulthood, but that is also the reason why one mama sea turtle can come up and nest, go back out and mate, and she can come up and nest 5 times per season in 2-week intervals. So they're hedging their bets. They do that also for the storms. Green turtles, they come in, they tend to nest really, really high on the beach. It's unusual for them to nest in the middle of the beach, but that's another thing to protect them. They get up as high as they can, but then those hatchlings have to crawl that much further across the beach to get out.
Right.
So as they're doing that, there's birds, there's crabs, they're being picked off if the opportunists are there waiting. And a lot of them do. I mean, we have fox on the beach. The fox don't eat the hatchlings, but they just play with them till they're dead, or they bite their heads off. That's it happens a lot. I mean, I've seen a complete hatch out where 50 of them are strewn across the beach. And I've seen the night herons carrying them. I even got a call one day from someone who was on the west side of A1A and said, "Oh my God, there's a hatchling in my yard. What do I do?" And that's a bird, they picked him up and dropped him. So, but that's just that's nature.
Evolution.
Yeah, yeah.
Well,
Survival of the
thank you
fittest.
for the education.
Welcome. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much, Joanne, Barbara, the turtle team, the 20 volunteers. You're doing amazing work at our beach in Highland Beach. Thank you so much. Are there any other public comments? From what you know? Nope. No more public comments, so we can come to presentations. We have another role model project that we would like to present, the dune restoration presentation of Penthouse Towers. Can I please call, I refer to this item to Elaine Prentice.
My maintenance and we work together. Thank you for having us. Ted and I are really impressed with what our dune has been able to do. So one of the things that happened was about 10, 11 years ago. I've been there 13 years. I did do a restoration, hired beach raker. We took out all the exotics and we did replant. The only thing that survived were a couple of bay cedars and the sea grapes. Lost it all. Part of it was me not being educated, and we did not do a lot of the grasses. So what I recommend is for all the buildings, at a minimum, get rid of these exotics. And it's laborious. Ted was still he was still pulling things out even after we removed. But you have to go in and remove what does not belong. Scarbola is invasive on our beaches. Scarbola, I think it's kind of pretty, right, Ted? It's kind of a light green plant, but it chokes everything. So you need to get out your invasives. You need to get out any binding. We had a lot of vines that were just choking everything. Get that out. We had, if you can believe it, snake plants, and how they got there, I don't know. How many did it pull? Hundreds of them, and they go down in the beach like this far. You know, snake mother's tongue, the snake plant, they're down this far, and then they have these little things that come out the side, right? And then they go like this. So you want to remove what does not belong. Any binding, even if someone says to you, "Oh, it should be there," take it out, because it's going to kill everything else you have. Then the big thing is, when you go to replant, put the grasses in. You don't have to buy anything else fancy. You don't need any more sea grapes. Your sea grapes are going to come back on their own. And I have some photos. If you look at for me to flip through them. Hold on. I've never done this before, Ted. We did put some sea lavender in. That's exactly what it looks like. Now this is bay cedar that I did 10 years ago, and we shaped it like a hedge. So the guy shows up, Lee Gottlieb, and he goes, "You cut this like a hedge?" And I go, "Sure, He goes, "I've never seen that before." So you can shape some of this stuff. You're not going to block your views, because a lot of owners go, "Oh, no, I don't want my view blocked." Well, we do trim our sea grapes and we keep things down. This we trim. You're not going to lose a view. Don't let anybody feel that that this is going to happen. And you shouldn't have palm trees out there anyway. We have a few, they're grandfathered in, but they are not to be out there. Because if they go down, going to lose 20% of your dune. That root system on a palm is horrendous. So those are the bay cedars that survived. And they feel like silk. If you touch them, they're like a satiny feel, and they get a tiny yellow flower. They're very, very pretty. We put a bunch more of those in, and we'll shape them like a hedge. See the little flowers that come on them? I like the bay cedars. We have put this in. Now this is kind of like a ground cover, and I have other photos that will show you where it's sweeping around. And what Ted will tell you, we were pulling a lot of weeds. Ted was out there twice a week with his bucket, and he just pulled what didn't belong. Now that this ground cover is coming in, it's taking the weeds out. So it becomes less and less maintenance as it grows. Yep.
How you doing, guys? I started out with 20-gallon garbage pail, filled that up twice, just pulling down to like a 5-gallon bucket. So as I was saying, I'm things starting to spread.
One of the things that, you have your dunes. They belong there, make them work. And a lot of it is just take care of them. You don't even have to replant. I can show you stuff that's coming back. I never planted it and it's amazing. It was probably underneath all of that other stuff. And now it's replenishing and it's catching that sand and it's actually building it. You can see the height difference. And I'm not even out a year in it. So it's kind of like a crazy thing that takes place with nature. The beach sunflower, this is Ted's favorite. So we were able to get 20 of them and I found another place that does supply them. So we get them. They were tiny. Lee says, don't put them in a lane, let them grow. We had them downstairs by the cooling towers. The iguanas ate them. They were like tiny, right, Ted? They were sticks. We planted them anyway. They came back. But this is a favorite for iguanas, but I guess they're not bothering us right now on the beach, right? So Ted wants me to buy some more. I found another supplier for them, but they're really pretty and they spread out over the ground, which you'll see in the pictures. This is your main player, okay? If you buy nothing, you buy COs. So there's a way to plant them. And I can, Ted and I can show you how to do, but he had like a little tumbler thing that you push down and you pull out a section like this long. I find them awkward to work with. You got to step on it. If you take a narrow shovel, right, Ted? Don't you think that's easier? You take a shovel, you pull it out. You got to keep it wet because the sand's going to fill the hole. You put in 3 of those with a little bit of fertilizer. And we actually found that taking sargassum, the stuff that comes up when it's wet, throw some of that in too. That's your fertilizer. But that's your main player. If you're going to plant anything, you want to do that. And I think, we lost some sea grapes with that one storm last fall. Put this along the front, right, Ted? I wouldn't plant any more sea grapes. We certainly do. Ours are spreading again. You want your grasses because that's your first line. And these actually can go down, if I'm right, 20 feet to get their water source. And you would never think that. You're going to water them really, for the first 30 days. And you're not hosing them hard. You're going to sprinkle them. Just keep them damp. Sprinkle them, like don't hit them hard. And after 30 days, they're on their own. They don't need you. And we put them in. We had no rain. Remember, we had how many months? 3 months where we had no rain and our dune's doing great. But that's your main player, which is the COs. Now this is the fun one. We had this grass there. And so I said to the consultant, I said, what is it? He goes, I don't know. I said, leave it alone. He goes, leave it alone. So I do my research. I get on the government sites and whatever. I found out what it is. It's called a bitter panic grass. It's one of the best things to stabilize your dune. We did not plant it. It came back on its own. So that's why, and it looks fine. It's actually nice looking grass. If you just take out what does not belong, I believe you're going to rejuvenate on your own. Throw some sea oats in there to stabilize the front and stuff, but you should see when I show you the other photos, this thing really took off. And now if you look at your palm tree, those sea grapes jumped from that section to the palm. We did not plant them. And that's growth within what, the last 6 months, Ted? They weren't like that. So it's doing its own thing. And then it makes the pictures look really faded out on me, but there's your bitter coming in. I didn't plant it. And it's great to hold the sand. That's what you want. Sea grapes are good, but they are not the best to retain the sand. I always thought the opposite and I got taught differently. You want them, but they're not the best. The grasses are your best bang. And your bay cedars. Bay cedars are amazing too to hold. I wish we could turn the lights because you could see it better. You can't see on my little, on the right-hand side up there, you can see the bay cedars growing. We put in maybe 8 of them in that area. Can you see them now? That's better.
Which one is the Bay Cedar?
When the top photo, right, look at the right. They're about, what, a foot and a half tall now, Ted? And they were pretty tiny when we put them in. And I'll tell you, you can go to Palm Beach and walk that beach and there are bay cedars, and I would not advise them. They are 20 feet in diameter. They become massive. They become like an animal on the beach. You want to contain them a little bit. So we'll have some bushes, right? We're gonna keep like our little hedge going because they get really, really big. Our sea lavender, you can see that little one down there in the left, that thing. But when we put them in, they were like dead, like that's all you saw. So that's a major growth. Like Lee came back out, we got like in a good lane. You and Ted have the growth of a year. We did it 2 months, which is, nobody understands it, but it's happening. And then the fun part was, and they're all over the place, the burrowing 4 o'clock flowers, which is kind of hard to see them. And they're natural, right? I know. I didn't know that. Oh, she's saying they're endangered. Yeah, no, they came back on their own. This is fascinating. You can see the leaves somewhere there. And the golden creepers kind of mixing again with the grass. But I got rid of it. There's your
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
It seems like your terrain is flat. Would this work on a very steep terrain that most of Highland Beach has like really a steep dune? Mhm.
So now, we can see in coming out of the gate, after the rural, they're coming right down to the water. Everywhere, and I never knew that it even had. Somebody else, they only do for a few months a year, even open water. Then we would do it, so I don't. But they're kind of rare.
Amazing.
So this is true, if you don't do the photo.
Mhm.
You don't get out with it. And I'm trying to show a lot of people, the one of us, it's not really good. I can't understand that.
Mhm.
I bring my games to the light. I try to do 4 times a year, and I take the title down. When we had all that rain and like, we're not going to get, what the title of grass, it's not showing the community. You're not going to.
Mhm.
That's just fun. I'm gonna tell you fun here. People will tell you that you do not need a permit to clean up your dune. I would pull your permit, and the permit clearly states you're gonna take out what doesn't belong, but you will replant, but you'll satisfy that with putting in the document. And that can be done with a group of owners. That's what we did. We did it with volunteers. It's kind of a fun thing. You go get them bagels and coffee and, get out there early in the morning because it's very, very hot. And then we have volunteers that help us water because this misting thing has to go on for at least 30 days.
So can you please describe the volunteering part? Was that more for the watering or was it also for the
Both.
work
We had
before?
We, yeah, we were down on our hands and knees like on the dunes. I mean, helping each other. And it was kind of like an assembly line because the grasses, the sea oats, they're like plugs. And you would put 3 plugs in a hole this size, fertilizer first, put the plugs in and then covers them with the dirt. So you get, it is kind of a fun thing for the owners. We just held an open meeting. I got permission to do the cleanup and I think I paid Beach Raker and it was a long job. They got there on a Monday and I think they went till almost Friday afternoon. I think I gave them, and it was a lot of stuff, about $9 grand. You'll never have to do it again because now we're controlling it, right? So that was the initial investment. And they cut my sea grapes too. So I saved some money there. I just kind of moved some money a little bit. And I said to the owners, we need to do this because we need the protection of the dune. Okay, this is no joke. We have a retaining wall But look what happened on the other coast, and
Yes.
it can happen here.
Yes.
So any kind of a buffer that you can get into place, it's a great investment. You're not gonna lose. As an owner, it's minimal money. It's really, really minimal. We got that done, and then I had the open meeting where Lee came in and he talked to the owners, and I had sign up sheet. So I think the first group of volunteers, I might have had about 15, right? And then had the staff, myself and Ted. And then I had owners that would help with the water. We water during the week. I had one lady, though, one of my board members, she loved doing it, but we did it for about 30 days. And then we had to do that again because we put the fancy plants in May and end of April, first part of May. So that's, I would tell you to pull. Like Ted will tell you, the owners love it. It's kind of a cool thing. You can go out there, walk along the wall and see all of this stuff. And to see how nature, besides building us back up and making them a stronger dune, but how it's bringing its own plants back. They were there. We were just letting scarvole, one of the worst. And vines. I had vines that were crazy. Some of them had flowers. They look pretty, but they were choking all of our vegetation. Ted, do you want to add anything? I mean, you love doing this.
There's a couple of things that, when I was out, I was doing pretty much every day. And those 4 o'clocks started out as 2 tiny leaves about that big. I mean, so when you're weeding and you're going through pulling stuff out, you really gotta be careful of what you're looking at and what you pull out, what not. I was taking orange flags, you know, those on the poles, bright orange, and I started out marking. It started as one this big. And I was all excited. I told Joe Delane, and that spread out. Next thing I know, there's another one, another one. I ended up with probably 40 flags, different areas. After a while, I just took the flags out because they were everywhere. Stuff like that. And Elaine pretty much hit it on the head as far as the importance. I mean, I think everybody should do this. Storms are getting more powerful, more frequent. Look what's going down in Lauderdale. I mean, they're constantly bringing sand in because they took everything out. So that's about it. Thank you.
Any questions?
No, thank you very much.
Anyone's welcome to come and take a look. It's fascinating. It really, and you'll get owners that like landscaping, like I love to do landscaping. You like, you'll get people, I don't think that's hired people. The cleanup, yes. That's a problem. They actually brought in equipment to help them with those. So, and that's an investment, but again, you're not gonna do it again. Because you'll train your staff, you'll train, your landscaper is good. They'll know, oh, that doesn't belong there, and you pick it up. I had a few things that were kind of weird, we didn't know what they were, and they were not natural people.
Just one more question. Do you use the beach raker, like the company that goes up and down?
Yes, they do that.
And they also did that, so that.
Yes, and
safe.
it's a new owner, so when I did the restoration, like, I guess it's 11 years now, it was different owners. They put the plants in. I did pay attention, but I don't think we were educated enough. If what we should have did was put the grasses to it. We put sea grapes in. I think that was a mistake. We had so many sea grapes, right? And now they're spreading again. And they're not very pretty. And now I'm learning that they don't hold your sand as good as they should. They're not bad, but there's better. Your grasses are better. Like this bitter panic stuff. This is fascinating that just blew on its own, and it's everywhere now. And there's no maintenance. You don't have to trim it. It's just gonna do its thing. And it moves, so no leaves are getting bought. I mean, I've got a few things sticking out, what, about 5 feet? Yeah. Yeah, and they're interesting. They move around, you know, you like vegetation. I don't like hedges. I'm a big girl that doesn't like hedges, but you see movement, it's kind of nice. Okay.
Well, Elaine and Ted, you're definitely heroes. Thank you so much in
You're
Highland
welcome.
Beach. I have one question. What was your experience with neighbors? Because your project is
Well, I'm
only
gonna
as
tell you
good
what-
as your neighbors' cooperation.
Okay, so here's what I did. The building next to me, I like him very much. He's a landscape architect. He's got great taste, let me tell you. But he likes his start rolling. And I got him to come to the meeting and I got the manager, I know him too, trying to change his mind to get that scarbola out because it's so invasive.
Mhm.
But we yank it, we know when it hits us, but I was unable to convince him to remove his scarbola. I tried. Sorry, I tried. He thinks it looks nice and they've even got it out on A1A. He keep it out there. They'd like you to get it off the beach. You can't make him do it. You set an example, you set an example and you hope that they understand. Scarbola chokes things. It doesn't belong. And it's something that we shouldn't have. I mean, I think the town, and I don't know what your powers are, but maybe you put some sort of a directive that it needs to be removed. You know, we've done this before, the state of Florida, get those plants out. You can't have them, right? Maybe something like that needs to happen.
That's an excellent point.
Yeah, I'm just saying it doesn't belong there and you don't need it. Just take it out. Get rid of it. But I could not convince him. He said, I like the look of it. And it's better than having nothing. And I said, but if you remove it, the other things will. So I'm hoping I'll get a hold of him again, and say, hey, here, come have a look. Look what came back on its own. I didn't have to pay for that,
I think you made some amazing points. We have one town commissioner here. It's our honor. Maybe, I don't know, I'm looking at town planner Alan. I mean, would it be realistic in Highland Beach to talk about legislative steps to kind of help with some owners who just don't want to listen to the scientists and to the experts? Like, for example, removing of scarbola.
Well, I'm sure there's many invasive species. I'm just looking really quick on our code. I mean, we have some references to invasive species for just general landscaping, not specific to the dune. I know that the board had asked me a while back what the code says as far as maintaining one's dune. There's really nothing in the code. The board can, come up and do some brainstorming. Maybe there could be some sort of code amendment, but we really need to get some sort of recommendation to the commission. Again, I'd like to recheck the code and see what kind of references there are to invasive species, but I do know, as I had checked it before, in terms of dune vegetation and maintenance of the dune, there really isn't anything in the code. Just like any property, you have to maintain the property from refuse and all that. Actually, if I may, Elaine, can you just talk a little bit about your experience with FDP, the Florida Department of Environmental Protection? Again, you got the permit, which is very important. You can't start pulling things out, please, without getting a permit from FDP. I know that they have worked very well with the residents and with the condos. So if you could just talk a little bit about that experience, how they help guide you and what have you.
So I never personally pulled the permit. It was always beach raper. I think you should pull a permit. It was probably a few hundred. It's not the money. I thought they would have come out and had a look, right? Or use a drone. I saw nothing. Did you see any drones? I didn't see any drones. I think they're very busy and I think that they're feeling now, they maybe backed off a little bit. If you're responsible enough to go pull that permit, you're gonna do the right thing. I don't feel that these people are a problem. I got lectured one time. I'm gonna tell you, 2013. We have stairs that go down the beach. There's 3 sets. Storm came in, the sand filled the stairs. Well, what I don't want is a resident going down and falling. You can't do the stairs. So I put my maintenance guys down there and all we were doing was we were shoveling the sand off of the steps to make that little bit of pathway. I'm not in the. And somebody squealed on me. And I know who it was. It was the guy that I fired from Universal. said she's out messing with the dunes. So the guy came from out, this guy came. I grabbed the president, I go down, he said to me, you don't own it. And I said, all we're doing, I don't want anybody calling, he goes, ma'am, you don't own it. He said, let it fill in. And he wasn't nice to me, but that was my really one-on-one with an F, and I know what happened. I wasn't doing anything bad, but he's saying those stairs really shouldn't be there. Let them fill in. So I would just pull the permit, be respectful, and and hopefully your neighbors, like, they'll see this and they'll go, oh my God, she's not so crazy down there at Penthouse Towers. We should clean ourselves up here. It's gonna be a working thing, I
Well,
think you have to now. This is reality is.
one thing is education, and it does work, and you've done amazing work, and hopefully will help us with our content. I'll reach out to you privately for that. But I think some legislation discussions might not hurt if we do have the legal power to actually make residents remove some of the invasive plants. And I think we as commission will probably be very, very happy. We as a nature board, very happy to help the commission with some research. We do have some experts like Robert Nan and so forth that could help us making recommendations for some legislative steps.
Yeah.
Would that be something that we could do?
If I can add, I know that when we've done some, I've processed several new homes on the beach. When you're putting in a new home, most of them are located east of this coastal construction control law, which requires approval from the Florida Department of Environmental Protection. So we've had some new houses come into the town. I've looked at their Florida Department of Environmental Protection permits. They talk about removing the snake plant. So for new construction, they got to get that FDP permit, and FDP is looking at that stuff. Now, it's just a matter of people who just are living in their homes. They may have existing stuff. That's, I think, maybe what I don't know that we can force people to remove. If they're coming in for new construction, then they're going to get that FDP approval. They're going to call that stuff out, and it'll be included in the permit. But it's just a matter of people who are just content, and they may have invasive species, and they're just not going to do anything.
I wonder,
It's a good discussion. It's a good
Barbara,
discussion.
I wonder if we could do it the other way, which is the sort of the education way and the enticing way to show pictures of the invasive scarvola and snake plants with, X's through them, and have a cheat sheet that we could pass out to residents who come into the planning department or to condo associations or homeowners, and give them the cheat sheet that says, these are the things we don't want. These are the things we do. FEP can give you a permit. It's a few $100s or whatever the cost is, and be able to hand them something that they can use. Okay, now I understand I have to do an assessment. I have to have the invasives taken out. I need the permit to start, and sort of put together a process that all of us would use if we were going to start working on our dunes. And if this group could do that, working with the town, and then that could be something the commission could say, yeah, we're going to put that out there for everybody.
Again, just to remind the board, we do have some new board members, by the way, welcome. Again, the commission gave the board the discretion to execute educational outreach when it comes to dune management and restoration. I think that's a great idea. Miss Villegas and I, we've talked about that. You could get a little bit cheeky, wanted.
Yeah.
I think that's really good. A big X, that's universal. Everyone understands a big X rather than a lot of writing. So yeah, the board can talk about and massage this idea of doing cheat sheets on, we could start off on those invasive plants. Let people talk with their landscapers. Hey, look, I saw this from the town. Do we have these? And it could just be something as, simple as that, right? And you can get the ball rolling for some of these properties.
Maybe also with the photos, excellent photos.
I'll keep giving you
Showing
photos, like,
examples.
Ted will grab them as they develop. One of the things I wonder is if you had enough, like, I'm only talking condo associations because I don't know private home people at all. What if you had some sort of an initiative where you took a company like Beach Raker? Hey, if we can get you 10 properties, what kind of a price can you come up with? I mean, he's gonna have to look at these, you give them an incentive to try and help them a little bit. Like, to start that ball.
The town can't promote any specific business. So we could give you a list of 4 beach raker type companies and say, hey, here are companies that could do this job for you, but we can't incentivize or promote any businesses.
But that doesn't prevent all people who know someone from a condo down there talking to them and saying, hey, we're gonna get beach raker, the private people can talk to each other and there's only 2, we only have 2 who really run our beach every morning, so.
Sometimes
Interesting.
people just need a little push, you
I have
know?
a question. What was the overall cost for what you invested into this program?
So this program, the cleanup was around 8,500, I think. It was under 10. And I threw in a C grade cutting, to take 1,000 off, right? Because I had them do it while they were in there. The plants, working with Lee, we spent like 4,800. But as again, you don't need to do the plants, just the grasses, and that would cut that down. And I actually know, you know, who suppliers are. You can go on and find people that they'll bring them by FedEx. You just have to know how to put them in.
So that was a 48 on top of the 85. Okay.
And you're never gonna spend, like, I can't imagine somebody you'd ever have to pay them to go in and pull the job. Seed grade cutting, yes, like that's something that's normal, but you're not gonna have to go in and do what we did. We see sort of scarvola.
And that is the
I don't need
price,
permits, we just go out there and take it.
and that is the price for how many feet of seashore?
400.
That was good.
400.
You'll see. But there's sections like on our south side, that's really all secret. There's no room to put anything there.
So most owners will not have 400 feet, you
Yeah,
know,
well,
like, it
400
will never
lineal
be
feet.
that expensive.
That's what I mean, like, I know you can't promote, but maybe you could have a community project and then give them the names. Maybe they, you know, do 3 or 4 buildings together.
What about charity fundraising? The community do it as a larger project, which often this kind of thing. Volume.
The town beaches are private beaches, right? So very hard to do a public project on private beaches. So right now, we have individual property owners, have a contract with the beach raker. We have property owners that don't want a beach raker on their property. So this is all private beach, and the board has been discussing this. I've been here almost 4 years, this topic of doing some sort of communal effort. But the town's position has been that it's a private beach, and if one resident doesn't want the beach raker, they have the right not to have the beach rakers.
But there may be a facilitation that could take when you're not promoting a particular vendor, where we could have an event like we did for Dune Education last year. Why could we not have the commission give the town permission to invite all types of vendors and owners, homeowners to come and get educated on what is possible for the dunes, and without promoting a particular company. And then these vendors obviously will have pricing that they can share with people at a later time. But it would seem facilitation without being the promoter and without excluding vendors, maybe something like that would work.
Well, I could discuss it with the town manager. Anything that the board would like to move forward with, I discuss it with him. Obviously, right now we have the construction going on, and we've had some food truck events. I know there was possibly some discussion of like a vendors event. That's, you know, it's more general. And then I could discuss with the town manager about that, bringing in beach rakers or, but I'll be glad.
Several, there may
Yeah.
be.
I mean,
It could be-
we
I
had,
could discuss that with him and see what his thoughts are.
as a
report back to the
suggestion,
board.
we had an event, I think it was in January, that Maggie at the time organized, when Dr. Robert Barron, he's an expert. He was invited and present. I don't know if he's available again, but that could be something where you, the two of you, right? So it was in this room. They could do another event with the two of you presenting this for Highland Beach, for everybody who is interested. Because from my point of view, that event was very successful. We have a couple of houses, private homes, who are actually restoring the dunes as we speak. I think it's a good thing to spread the word, and it doesn't cost the town much other than donating this room for an offering the room
It
for one
really is
evening.
about education, you know, like, look at me, I did it over 10 years ago. We spent back then, maybe 7,000, 8,000, we put quite a few plants in. Except for pay breaks and everything. I had lack of education, and I'm gonna tell you something else, I gave a little too much control to the vendor. I'm not anymore, him and I are out there, I'm sorry, it's, you wanna learn, you're gonna get dirty. And the people like it. You get out, you're gonna be digging, but you gotta learn on the ground. Just like all that landscaping stuff I do, I don't have any training, I just do it. Had to learn. So I think owners might, not all of them, but a lot of, condo owners are interested in this, and it's kind of fun. It's great.
So maybe we as the board could organize another event
That'd be
and
great.
invite you, just
Yeah,
the
maybe
same
we'll
thing.
have more photos so they can see.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna preach that you don't have to buy all these fancy plants that we did. Get the grass,
Yeah.
get them going, let that dune come back to what it normally has.
Mhm.
All these years, all this development, we've done a lot of damage, taking things away that we really need. Even now we're seeing it.
Right. And there were several questions from the January meeting, as I recall, about
Yes.
how to do it. So the permit question is pretty
Yeah.
simple. And then what does it cost? People are thinking this is hundreds of thousands of
Yes.
dollars. It's not.
Yes.
So to make it more real and be able to present that, and then if we can invite a bunch of vendors, and it's open, come and
Yeah.
talk to people afterwards, people can educate themselves in discussions.
So
It
because of
wouldn't be the town.
because of the sunshine laws, we won't be able to work on this as a team during in between those meetings, but I'm happy if that's okay. For example, to say I'm going to work with you. I'm happy to start organizing an event and work with you.
Yeah.
Councilor Allen on getting this event done in a couple of months, maybe when everybody's back.
As I said, I do need to talk with the town manager. We have the construction going on, so there's a little limits with parking and what have
Right,
you. As I always do after the board meetings, I talk with him about topics and things that you all are interested in. So what I could do is have a chat with him. And as I often do is I'll email the board after the meeting in the next week, whenever I can have a moment with him and advise you on his thoughts of having an event. Yeah, as I said, we have some limitations, and I know some events have been postponed because of the construction that we're having. So I will
Yeah.
advise the board accordingly. Yeah.
That'd be great. Thank you
The
so
other
much.
thing I could maybe volunteer, right, Ted, because we are the party building, right? People like the party. Maybe I talk to the board and you could have like a reception at our property and let them see it. There's plenty of room in the back of you saw our building. They can walk and,
That'd be,
bring
That
their
would be
own-
amazing.
that
Yeah,
would be
Then you
amazing.
see it and you can see, because it's something to really marvel at, right? So
You're not afraid. People. are
you're not afraid and
Yeah.
he'll jump down there and say, oh, doesn't belong, and he'll pull it out.
That's a great, idea. That's a
I
great.
mean, there's enough room and then it's a kind of a meet and
Yeah.
greet where you can go over there and see.
I think that's even a better idea, and it will help
don't
with
have
the
to hold it here.
construction. So would that be
Invite her.
something you could
I'm sorry, I
discuss?
was talking with somebody. I didn't hear the whole, you wanted to host a,
I'm gonna ask the board if they'd be willing to do that, like have a little get together. Obviously we can't do 300 people, but I'm sure there's enough.
would you be presenting? I'm sorry, I didn't hear that
We could
detail.
have, I'll show them, you could have Mr. Barron, you could have whoever there to talk and let them see it.
The idea is to
And I'll point
host
to
a
my
meeting
neighbor and
at
go.
the Penthouse
"Scarlet."
Towers.
You mean wait, you mean a board meeting?
Like
No,
us.
like
okay.
an event.
Oh, okay. Okay, again, I'll discuss it with the town manager. I'll make a note of that.
Yeah, just something
out.
informal,
Yeah.
and then, because we're all neighbors and you want to look after this. You can't replace it. You want to, and I don't need a flood in my building. And this is what I said to the owners. I got ground floor units. I sandbag, we do whatever we do, but I don't need that fiasco. Okay, so let's try and keep it. If I lose a few plants, I'll put them back.
And subject to your board approval, obviously. I mean,
I'll
I
ask
think
them
all
how
that
they
town
feel.
planner Alan would have to find out is if the town would be willing to send out, to blast out the information.
Right,
And
you
then
have
the
to put
town
it
would
in a
have
newsletter. or
nothing to
something.
do with the event. We would coordinate it. All the town would do is blast out the information. We
So
would not even need
If
this.
there were certain, like if she could take 100 people, people could register.
Yeah.
We're very
Uh,
social. We're the party building. Cocktails every.
You're
night
not
at
going to
5.
get 100, maybe 50.
Hmm?
50 came last time,
Yeah.
roughly. So
Let me.
I'm not kidding. It's party season there. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
We have a little
No,
issue
what-
with parking. That's the only thing, but they're all close by. We can figure that out.
Let me just
Yeah.
advise the board, typically with events, it is staff that coordinates with whether whoever it may be. That's typically how it's done.
That'd be good.
But again, this is something I'll talk with the town manager. I am, for the board members that are new, I'm the liaison to the board. So when we had the events, actually it was in March, not in January, where we had the gentleman, Mr. Barron, come. I know I kind of made sure that we had the PowerPoint and so staff coordinates, typically not the board chair directly. But again, I'll get some insight from the town manager, see what his thoughts are on having some sort of event, and I will advise you.
Maybe we could, since you're chatting with Marshall, that perhaps we could do, if we started here, then those who want to go and see is, as long as we start at 5 and then they can go before the sun sets and go and see. That would be maybe another part of it, a way to do education and visual.
Again, I'll talk with the town manager. We also have to be mindful of the sunshine laws and all that plays. So yeah, we could, I'll
I know.
chat with him about it.
speaking of sunshine laws, when you do the update, maybe we should educate the new board members on sunshine laws.
Typically, the town clerk has provided the new members, right, on the sunshine.
Okay.
So
Okay.
the information is given to them
Okay.
about that, yeah. I just want to make just a quick note. I was just advised that at the September 19, 2023 commission meeting, there's going to be a presentation from Andy Stutt. He's the program supervisor for Palm Beach County's Coastal Management Department. So he's going to do just a presentation on coastal resource management. It's going to be a question and answer. Just want to make sure you possibly put it on your calendars if you'd like to attend, or again, remember, you can always watch the commission meetings live at home on your computer. It will be September 19th, 2023. Those meetings start at 1:30.
And what meeting is that? Is it a?
That is the regular town commission
Town
meeting.
commission?
Yeah, they're going
Okay,
to have
thank
that
you.
item on the agenda.
Thank
And the agendas are usually published the Friday before the meeting, so you'll be able to see that on our town website.
And that's on September
19,
19th.
Yeah. 1:30 starts the meeting.
Well, thank you so much. So I think we can move to the next agenda item, updates from Town Planner Alan. I refer this item to Town Planner Alan.
Okay,
Yeah.
hello. On this whole topic of the dune restoration, I did want to point out to the board in the April 2023 Managers Monthly, that I had included an article about trimming, adding, or removing dune vegetation on your property. In that article, I had indicated, and this all came from the Florida Department of Environmental Protection. It states that FDEP staff are available to assist property owners in determining if a permit is required or not. Additionally, property owners can send proposed dune maintenance project information. This includes the address of the property, the description of the work, photographs and plans to FDEP staff in the form of a consultation request. And I provided the email address in that article. And FTEP field inspectors can schedule site visits to meet on property, discuss projects over the phone, and issue field permits as needed. And I provided the phone number, which is 850-245-2094. Now, Elaine kind of mentioned that, yeah, they don't always come out, and I think they are spread very thinly. But I believe, you know, David, right, Kickenbausch, he's always very quick to respond to any field permits. So yeah, this was put out, as I said, back in April. I did put my contact information. Unfortunately, I don't have anybody reach out to me, but I think we could continue putting this type of article just to, you know, I don't want to say bombard, but just keep advising, you know, residents, keep it in the light, all this type of information. Wanted to point that out. Just a
And we
few-
could
oh,
put that in a cheat sheet too. So
Sure.
that could be added, some of those
Sure.
bullets could be added in for a cheat
Sure.
sheet so that we can go to a meeting or we meet somebody at
Yeah.
another condo, we can hand it to them.
Absolutely. And if the board, I mean, you all meet quarterly. If you have any ideas for the cheat sheet, again, you can always email me ideas. You obviously can't email each other. And then we could try to get something together before your next meeting. So just throwing that out there. Just
Yeah.
wanted to follow up on a few items from your May 4th meeting. Oh, you're free to go, but if you'd like to stay, you're welcome to stay. No worries. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank
so
you.
much. Thank you very much. So as I was saying, just a few follow-up items from your May 4th meeting. The board had asked me to email you the list of condos that currently have a bucket tree. I provided that email on May 8th to the board. The board also asked about the beach feasibility update. I emailed the board on May 18th, indicating that there was going to be an agenda item on the May 23rd commission, at the May 23rd commission meeting. And what came out of that is obviously the commission decided to go forward with the update. We did bring on board the same firm that prepared the 2013 beach feasibility study. They've changed their name. But anyway, the town commission did approve that update. And there was a email blast that was provided in August of this year. The firm was starting their surveying on the beaches. And so we did that email blast just to advise residents. Yes, they were initiating their surveying of the beach profiles. That actually started on August 2nd. And that surveying also included some boat work. They were looking at some onshore portions of beach profiles to be performed beginning on Friday. That was August 3rd. So they're in the process of doing the study. According to the contract that we have with them, they will be providing the town with a draft report 12 weeks after the notice to proceed. So that will be provided to the commission. The commission didn't give any specific direction to the board on this, but we'll see what comes out of that draft report. So just wanted to follow up with you all on that. Yes.
Once the draft is presented to the commission, then at what point are we able to, like, if we're meeting with our neighbor and they're a condo and they're on the updated draft, when are we going to be able to have that information to share with other neighbors?
Well, again, the commission hasn't, you mean as a board?
No,
just
I
in-
mean,
oh,
as
okay.
individuals. So let's say we decide along with our cheat sheet, we want to educate people, let people know that we've done the study, and when are we allowed to share? what
Well, I
that
think the
might be?
draft report wouldn't be the time because there may be questions from the commission. They may want to add things, change things, you know. I
Right.
think the final report. And then we can get direction from the, commission. I mean, this kind of falls into that dune restoration initiative that you already given to
Right.
do outreach, right? Because the feasibility study will be looking specifically at each property, right? So they'll be looking at the uniqueness of a property and then hopefully giving information on how the dune can be improved, or, we'll
Right,
see what
right.
comes out of it. But yeah, I think that'll be a whole initiative on itself to educate people like, hey, this is your property and this is what was determined. So we've done a lot of legwork for you. So this is great incentive for you now to take that next step. We've done all, the assessment's been done. So, and I think,
And we have a cheat sheet for it.
yeah, 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 definitely. Yeah.
One question.
Yes.
The beach visibility study, will you share it with us once the commission has it?
Well, again, the commission did not give us direction to include the board because, this is not within the parameters. I know I say
Mhm.
that a lot, but if the commission decides that they want you all to look at something that per code, they have the right to say, you know what, we want the Natural Resources Board to look at it and give us their input. They have every right to do so.
Okay.
But in that meeting back in May, they didn't,
Mhm.
they just decided to approve it, to do an update to it. So we'll see once they get the draft, what their take is. Maybe they want to take it on their own. I don't know, but they'll determine. Yeah. And it'll be available. Remember, they're going to do a draft report. That draft report will be the backup on the agenda and everyone in the town will be able to see that draft report.
Yeah.
They'll submit their final report. Everyone in the town will be able to look at it. So
Yeah.
absolutely.
It's good. We,
Yeah.
we sure don't want to slow it down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Getting it final.
The other thing from the May 4th meeting, there was some discussion about, about trash cans that may be needed on some areas of the beach. I did not hear back from Joanne. In my notes, Joanne Ryan, the sea turtle permit holder, was gonna email me of some areas where she felt there may be a need for trash cans. So I'll follow up with Joanne, and see if there's any need.
Yeah, I
Just wanted
think
to. Oh,
She
go ahead.
mentioned that a few were washed away over the summer, a few of the trash cans. There were some changes, but I think it's best if you coordinate with her. Yeah.
Also, I wanted to remind, again, really advise or inform the new board members that back on October 18th of 2022. On October 18th of 2022, the board created a letter it was mailed to all the residents about dune protection. So this letter is on your board's website as well. So again, just wanted to advise those newer members that the letter talks about safeguarding property values, shoreline protection from storm surges. This is again talking about dune maintenance, decreased beach erosion over time due to rising sea levels and hurricanes, reduction of light pollution for nesting and hatchling sea turtles, and shelter for coastal wildlife. So that letter was provided as well. And another thing, I think this is the last item on my list. In the upcoming Managers Monthly, there's going to be an article that I provided on Florida-friendly landscaping. Now, the board members who have been on the board for a while have heard me talk about the climate change vulnerability assessment. The town is part of a coastal resiliency partnership, which is a few coastal municipalities, also includes Palm Beach County, that came together a few years back to create this coastal resiliency partnership. That partnership did a climate change vulnerability assessment. It was completed in 2021 or 2022. I don't remember exactly. A link to the report is on the town's website. It's an over 200-page document, and it looks at mitigation strategies for climate change. There were 12 threats that were identified, and they include tidal flooding, rate-induced flooding, extreme heat, wildfires, so on and so forth. So there's regional mitigation strategies that address these threats. And then each municipality has its own unique mitigation strategies based on the uniqueness of the municipality. So given the recent extreme heat that we've had, extreme heat again was one of those threats. There's going to be an article again in that next Managers Monthly that talks about this Florida-friendly landscaping, because one of the mitigation strategies for extreme heat and for some of the other threats, like there's a one about pests, this is really like a low-hanging fruit item. Florida-friendly landscaping can help reduce extreme heat. These are things that residents, again, this is low-hanging fruit that people could just do on their property, right? To deal with extreme heat. So in that article, I'll talk about the 8 principles of Florida-friendly landscaping. It talks about right plant, right tree, right place, water efficiently, fertilize appropriately, utilizing mulch, attracting wildlife, managing yard pests, recycle yard waste, reduce stormwater runoff. So just wanted to let the board know that this will be out and just an FYI to you. I'm happy to address any questions or anything else the board wants to discuss.
In the May 4th meeting, there was a big discussion about bucket trees. And I have no
Yes.
idea what they are, and I couldn't find out any information about them.
Yeah.
Could you explain that?
Absolutely. If you go to the board website, we have a whole thing about the bucket trees. We have a photograph of the bucket trees, what they look like. So we had a board member, she's still on the board, Ms. McEnany? Yes, okay. She brought up this idea of doing a bucket tree. So it's a beach bucket tree. It's a very simple structure, it's like a pole, wood with side little poles where you hang a bucket. And so we looked at, I believe it was Volusia County. They did similar type of bucket trees, and we used their template of what a bucket tree would look like for the bucket trees here in the town. The commission agreed to pay for those trees, to construct those trees. Again, it's a very simple structure. I'll be happy to email you some information to show you. Oh, thank you. Here, this is from your website. This is the board's website. So on the bucket tree, we have several buckets. These logos are on each bucket. One logo is Take Pride in Your Beach, and then there's a pictogram showing you how to use the bucket and the bucket tree. These logos were approved by the town commission. And here's an example of the bucket tree right there. Obviously, we like them to be near a trash can. Yeah, so we have several condominiums who have where we've installed them. The town has installed them. Again, there's no fee to the condominium. And then we have each condominium sign off on an authorization form. On the form, it states that there's a hurricane. We ask them to remove those bucket trees. They're easy to remove. But yeah, thank you for pulling that up. Yeah.
Any more questions to Town Planner Allen regarding an update? I just have one last quick question on the light ordinance for the sea turtles. I know that went through multiple commission meetings. I know everything's online, but you mind summarizing what has happened with the ordinance for sea turtle protection and lighting?
Yeah, sea turtle lighting, yes. The item is slowed down a bit. It did go to the commission in May. Your recommendation, as well as the planning board's recommendation, which was to approve the ordinance, was documented in the staff report that was provided to the town commission. We had some commissioners ask for, they wanted to see what the 45% transmittance looks like. There were some other inquiries from residents. So it's on hold, or I should say, slow down a bit. I do need to discuss with the town manager when he would like to put it back on the agenda. So we'll see. Yeah, so you might want to check the agendas again. We only meet quarterly. I'll try to remind myself to maybe email the board when it's back on the agenda, but right now it's slowed down a bit. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you very much. So I think we can move to the next agenda item, approval of minutes of the meeting in May, on May 4, 2023. Are there any corrections to the minutes of the meeting of May 4, 2023? Hearing none, is there a motion to approve the minutes as presented?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Yep, thank you. All in favor, say yes.
Yes.
Yes, all opposed, say no. Thank you. Next agenda item 8, unfinished business. Any unfinished business? I don't think we have any. No, nope. Good. Agenda item 9, new business. First of all, welcome to the new board members. Thank you very much for joining our wonderful nature board. Could I please maybe have Christine Viegas, our first new member, maybe briefly introduce yourself, your interest in nature, and a little bit of your background?
Hi, I'm Chris Viegas, live at the Clarendon on Highland Beach. And I have relocated to Highland Beach full-time from Michigan. I was the president of my lake association at 400 Acre Lake and worked with a lake limnologist on plant growth along the shore because we have problems with wakes, not waves. And so I have a keen interest in the project, the Dune Project. It is something we did with rain gardens along the edges of our lake, and we were able to eliminate a lot of erosion by the proper plantings, both in the water, which you can do with lakes, and then on the shore. So this is my interest, my background. I'm a corporate attorney, retired.
Thank you. So then we have another wonderful new member, Alan Bloomberg.
So I'm Alan Blumberg. I am a trained physical oceanographer. I was a professor of ocean physics for 30 years. I study beach erosion, sea level rise, whatever physical factors affect the environment is what I was involved with. I wrote this book on the urban ocean. It's all about the interaction between water offshore of a city and the city affecting the water. It goes both ways. So I have a PhD in oceanography from Johns Hopkins, and I'm new to Florida, and I love every minute I've been here.
Wow, what an impressive background. I did not know. Well, thank you so much for both of you for joining this board, and we could learn a lot from you. Thank you very much. So our third, last but not least, new board member, Kenneth Schreiber.
Okay. Hi, all. My name is Ken Schreiber, and I certainly can't top Alan, but I'm a insurance adjuster, private investigator, insurance agent, and just started actually a nonprofit charity for crisis management. I am not. I spent most of my career and my life with industrialization, and now I'm starting to learn about preservation. So that's why I'm here to learn and help as much as I can, and I look forward to working with the rest of the board.
Well, thank you very much. Very impressive too. Insurances rise in Florida. As you know, the cost is rising, so it's very relevant as well. So thank you very much. I would like to take this time to welcome our new board members, and thank you very much. We come to the next agenda item, the board member updates. I'm on the list as first. I'll keep it short because most of the topics have already been discussed in this lengthy meeting today. My first update would be on dune restoration. I think we've heard a lot today already. I was going to quickly summarize how difficult it has been, unfortunately, to do what Chris has recommended, to speak to neighbors, which I've done absolutely just as board member of my condo association, Parker Highland, in the south of Highland Beach. I've been talking to neighbors of maybe working together to restore our dunes. And unfortunately, I had very similar experiences than the other condo had, that a lot of the neighbors are of the opinion that our dune has been fine. It's been there for 40 years. I've built this house 40 years ago. It's been fine. The sand is coming and going, and it will be fine. And when I'm challenging them with, well, you own a multi-million-dollar property, you could probably spend a few thousand on making sure your dune is sound. It's hard to have that discussion. We have lovely neighbors, wonderful relationships, but despite that, I find it very hard to convince them to do anything. And that has been really tough. So I think we just have to keep doing what we're doing, educating the public, which is already in one of our main tasks that the Commission has entrusted us to do. And I think we just have to keep working on that. I can report from my own condo building that we will be talking about it in our board meetings. It's a slow process. I met with 2 experts. We have multiple proposals, which unfortunately are a lot more what they have paid. but also because we would be using companies to do it. If we did the work by ourselves, it would definitely be cheaper. So the cost is more, but it's still about 20,000-30,000 in that ballpark without bringing in more sand. Sand is very expensive, and to work with the city of Boca Raton to get it to the beach, to summarize it, it's almost impossible and very costly. So I think dune restoration, good news is it's happening. A lot of buildings are working on it. It will take time to educate the public. It would help to have some legal power from a, unfortunately, if you, yes, it would be probably helpful if the town had more laws forcing, but as the town planner Alan has pointed out correctly, with new construction, they have to go through FTP anyway, and with existing buildings, it is hard to implement that legally. So that's the dune restoration. What goes with that is beach raking. I have not been here for the summer, but I've been back for a week. I do see a lot of tire ruts. It's absolutely not great. And from what I've seen, I've reported it to the turtle team, and Joanne and team are emailing photos to the beach rakers, and hopefully so far I have not seen improvement, but it's only been a week. But I would say the tire rods right now are a big issue. And the turtle team is aware and is working with the beach raking companies. Good news is the Seacoast Star has made a new newspaper article. This was a couple of months ago, but we haven't had a meeting since then. So I'm very proud to say that our town has been in the Seacoast Star. The turtle team was mentioned. Everything that we're doing was mentioned in a very positive way, which is, I think, which is great. So these were the items that I had on my list. Any other questions for what was on my to-do list? Otherwise, I would hand the word to member Matthew Mann. I think we were talking about the Delray Sands bucket trees in the Delray Sands.
Yeah, I believe, I don't know, I think it was, were you going to reach out to them to see if they wanted what? I actually did reach out to them. I did speak to the manager.
Oh, great.
Yeah. I sent him a picture of the bucket tree along with the decals. I've not heard back. That was a little bit hard to get a hold of him. I sent it, I believe it was this month, or August, early August. So I've not heard back. He told me he was going to check with corporate to see if that's something they would like to do. So I'll follow up with him.
That would be
see if I
great.
hear back.
Excellent. Thank you so much. So that would be it for me. Does anybody, any other member have any updates? Obviously, you guys are new. So. Excellent. So then we would move to announcements. So on September 5 at 1:30, we have the next town commission meeting. On September 5 at 5 p.m., the town commission first public hearing budget meeting. And we have no other announcements other than the September meeting that town planner Alan has already announced. September, what was it, 19, I believe. Yes, where the presentation will be held by the expert. By the
September
September
19th
19, yeah.
at
The
1:30.
Palm Beach County that I
Yes,
mentioned
the
earlier.
Palm
Yes,
Beach
September
County
19th.
expert, yeah.
Yes.
Beach.
I have a question. If when you send out, I'm not sure who's sending out the slides that Elaine sent in to everybody. Will you send an updated list of the board in our emails if we are
That
able
is the
to?
responsibility of the town clerk. Actually bringing up this PowerPoint. Do you want it to be placed on the board's webpage? Because we can put that on there.
Oh, that'd
That'll
be
be
great.
great, yeah.
Okay.
That'd be great.
Yeah, we have an IT team. I'll have them we'll upload it in the board site. So that's, yeah.
That would be great. So then we can probably move to adjournment if there's nothing else.
So moved.
So there being no further business to come before the board, the meeting is adjourned at 12:23 PM.
Thank
You're-
you.
Thank
Was
you.
travel.
What a pleasure.
Wasn't it great?